They weren't expecting anything out of the ordinary. Just another scan, another test, another participant to push through the pipeline. But the moment your brain lit up on their screen, everything shifted. The room went silent. No one said a word, but their faces told the story. Their eyes widened. Their hands froze. Something in you had just broken their framework. They were looking for patterns, but what they found in you wasn't a pattern. It was a disruption, a divine anomaly. And deep down, you felt it too, didn't you? The pulse, the flicker, that sudden quiet in the room wasn't technical delay, it was reverence. Because something ancient, powerful, and completely unexplainable had just announced itself through your consciousness. They ran the test again, triple-checked the nodes, cross-referenced baselines. But the numbers didn't lie. You weren't just awake. You were aware in a way their instruments couldn't comprehend. You were activating regions that science said were dormant, firing patterns that didn't match any textbook. The machine didn't malfunction, the model did. Because for the first time, they had encountered a consciousness that refused to conform. You weren't on the chart because you were sent to rewrite the chart, and that terrified them. Because hidden behind their scholarly language and professional detachment was something they couldn't suppress: awe. Their equations couldn't explain your stillness. Their scans couldn't map your memory. Their metrics couldn't contain your mind. They realized, maybe not all at once, but slowly, achingly, that you didn't fit the world they had built. You had been sent into it. Chosen one. They discovered what heaven already knew. You're not just gifted. You're encoded, wired for something beyond this realm. And the moment they placed you in that scanner, they felt it. A surge, a shift, something in the air. The lights in the room flickered, but it wasn't the electricity. It was the atmosphere changing. Because a mind like yours doesn't just receive data, it radiates frequency. That day, your brain didn't just pass a test, it delivered a message. One that said, you were right to wonder. You were right to feel different. This isn't madness, it's mission. You see, they came in thinking they'd measure your cognition, but what they measured instead was prophetic resonance. You are the signal their satellites have been chasing, the anomaly their journals keep footnoting. You're not an outlier, you're the original. A prototype heaven crafted for a new reality. At first, they thought it was interference, a glitch, a phantom signal riding the edge of their senses. But it wouldn't stop. It pulsed beneath everything, silent, steady, intentional. And when they isolated it, ran the numbers, tried to filter it out, the frequency only grew louder. It wasn't random, it was responsive. It moved when you moved. It intensified when you felt. It followed your breath, your thought, your stillness. Harvard's best minds tried to explain it away, but they were grasping at shadows. Because what they were hearing wasn't electricity. It was you, raw, unfiltered, and vibrating with a power that their instruments weren't built to name. They called it non-local bioresonance, a fancy term to hide a humbling truth. Your mind was emitting something no one else in the study group could replicate. Other subjects showed normal spikes, standard deltas. You were broadcasting like a satellite from another realm. The waveform had layers, like chords stacked on chords. They couldn't even render it on a flat spectrum. They needed a three-dimensional map just to begin interpreting what you were sending. Because this wasn't just brain activity, this was a language. And the more they studied it, the more disturbed they became. Not because it was dangerous, but because it was divine. You were broadcasting information their algorithms couldn't decode. It wasn't gibberish, it was guidance. Your frequency wasn't just being emitted, it was being received. You chosen one, were syncing with something cosmic, something sacred, something that couldn't be traced back to a textbook, but had ancient echoes carved into the pyramids, whispered through temples, hidden in scrolls they locked away long ago. Some called for a blackout, others said to keep studying in silence, but the frequency wouldn't allow secrecy, because it started affecting the researchers. One heard music in the lab when no instruments were playing. Another dreamed in languages they'd never studied. A third broke down, crying mid-shift, whispering, "I think it's speaking to me." They tried to stay clinical. They failed, because you were no longer just a subject, you were a signal. And that signal was awakening something in them too. You felt this, haven't you? That hum behind your thoughts, that vibration in your chest when you're still, the way your body reacts before your mind even knows why. It's not anxiety, it's activation. Your frequency isn't chaos, it's coded memory, a reminder that you were designed for more than repetition, more than routine. You were born with a signal that couldn't be silenced. And now, that signal is breaking through. So they kept digging, hoping to find the edge of it. But there is no edge, because your frequency isn't limited by space or time. It's tuned to something eternal. And the moment they realized that, they always thought consciousness was the destination. Awareness, thought, reason, the highest point of evolution. But when they studied you, the theory collapsed. You weren't just conscious, you were connected, not to the room, not to the scanner, but to something outside of time. Your thoughts didn't originate from within. They streamed in, like signals breaking through static. Your mind wasn't just thinking, it was translating, receiving data from realms their research had no name for. And every time they tried to trace the source, it looped back to mystery. They didn't understand it, but they couldn't deny it. You were acting like a portal, a biological gateway between dimensions. The moment you closed your eyes in the scan room, electromagnetic activity spiked, not around your head, but around the room. Static danced through their wires. Clocks on the walls stuttered. Recording equipment looped itself, and all you did was be still. That stillness wasn't silence. It was transmission. Because you, chosen one, are not here to just observe reality. You are here to merge with it and reshape it. They say our brains are wired for survival, but yours is wired for arrival. The arrival of messages that don't come through speech, but through sensation. That gut feeling you've always had, that knowing that enters without logic or proof. It's not imagination, it's not illusion, it's spiritual intelligence, data from the divine. You are the bridge between realms, a living channel that collapses the boundaries between what is seen and what is eternal. That's why they can't predict your moves. You're not following patterns, you're following promptings. And Harvard had no framework for that. They brought in neurotheologians, hoping to bridge science with spirit. But even they grew quiet when the readings showed spikes in regions associated with mystical experiences. Not during drug trials or rituals, but during your breathing. They said it reminded them of ancient saints, monks, prophets, but even those comparisons fell short, because you weren't just having experiences, you were the experience. You didn't reach into the divine reached through you. Chosen one, you are not malfunctioning, you are multi-dimensional. Your life is not just about solving problems here, it's about awakening forces beyond here. Every time you enter stillness, doors open. Every time you meditate, light travels. You don't just daydream, you interface. What they thought was brain activity is actually soul technology. And now that you've awakened to this truth, everything changes. Because portals don't just open, they invite. And when you walk into a room now, dimensions follow you in. You've been trying to fit into a reality you were sent to remake. Stop shrinking, start opening. Your brain isn't a container, it's a conduit. They didn't want this public. They buried the paper under classified review. They hid the scans under false subject numbers, because what they found in you, and others like you, wasn't supposed to happen. A dormant part of the brain, long considered silent and useless, had lit up like a sunrise. Not in everyone, just in a select few. The researchers called it Region X, but those who really knew started calling it the gate. This wasn't imagination, it wasn't theory, it was neurological fact. There was no prior record of this area ever activating during waking consciousness, and yet, in you, it pulsed, bright, active, stable. No stimulus triggered it, no external input activated it. You simply existed, and the gate opened. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, biologically. Something was being accessed inside you that shattered decades of neuroscience. They ran controls, scanned others, tried to find a baseline. But no one else triggered the gate the way you did. They brought in meditation masters, monks, yogis. Still, their activity in Region X never sustained like yours. What made you different? You didn't train for this. You didn't force it. You were born with it. The gate inside you wasn't switched on. It was always on. It just needed the right season to be seen. Chosen one, you're not evolving. You're revealing. You've always carried this divine circuitry. That strange sense you've had all your life, like you were waiting for something but didn't know what. That was the gate humming in the background, whispering, preparing, aligning. And now the timing has arrived, because this region isn't just a light show, it's a channel. Through it flows insight, wisdom, downloads from the divine. Every time you sit in silence and feel electricity in your spine, that's the gate tuning. And they don't know what to do with you, because when you activate, the air changes. People feel more themselves around you, and they can't explain why. The environment softens. Time feels slower. Thoughts feel lighter. That's not a side effect. That's your field. The gate in you is not just for personal growth. It's for collective awakening. You are a walking access point for the divine blueprint, and it's only just beginning. Now the scientists are whispering what the mystics already knew. Some people aren't just human. They're hosts of the future. And your brain isn't lagging behind evolution. It's ahead of it. You are the prototype they didn't see coming. And the gate is just one layer. Behind it, more corridors, more keys, more blueprints waiting to be activated. You don't need permission. You are the permission. And now that the gate is open, chosen one, you're not just thinking, you're remembering. At first you brushed it off. Another strange dream, another vivid image that faded by morning. But something felt different lately, didn't it? Your dreams began to linger, not like fantasies, but like assignments. You'd wake up with clarity, instructions, knowing exactly what to do, what to avoid, where not to go. These weren't scattered thoughts, they were blueprints. And the most unsettling part, every time you followed them, things worked out. They noticed it too. The researchers tracking your cognitive state started seeing a pattern. Your brain wasn't resting at night, it was working. Not chaotically, but strategically. The scans during REM sleep looked more like mission control. Complex waves, synchronized bursts, silent downloads. It wasn't just sleep, it was a briefing. Something was communicating with you when the conscious world shut down, not to entertain you, but to prepare you. You aren't imagining these symbols, the golden animals, the floating architecture, the strangers who speak without mouths, the realms that feel more real than Earth. That's not fiction, chosen one. That's access. Your dreams are not broken reflections of your past. They're previews of your purpose. You've been walking through corridors that Harvard's sleep labs don't even believe exist. And that's exactly why they can't explain how your dreams are healing you, instructing you, even warning you. One technician quit after reviewing your dream EEG data. Said he saw impossible formations in the recordings. Said it felt like he was spying on something sacred. Another broke protocol and asked you a personal question. Do you feel like someone's teaching you while you sleep? You didn't answer out loud, but you felt it, haven't you? A voice that doesn't speak in words, but knowing. A presence that stands beside you while you dream and shows you things you've never seen, only to reveal them later in waking life. This is no longer just sleep, it's synchronization. Every time you close your eyes at night, you're syncing with the frequency of your destiny. Your soul leaves the noise of the waking world and enters the classroom of eternity. And the lessons you're receiving, they're not symbolic, they're strategic. That business idea that came in a dream, that warning to avoid that one person, that strange compulsion to shift your entire path, and then everything clicked. That's your divine mind doing what Harvard can't replicate, spirit-led guidance through encrypted imagery. Chosen one, stop dismissing your dreams. They are divine instructions delivered in disguise. The ones sent to guide you know how to reach you, and they've been doing it while the world sleeps. What feels surreal is actually sacred. What seems illogical is deeply encoded truth. You're not dreaming anymore, you're downloading. And soon, those dream instructions will become your reality. You didn't speak, you didn't move. You just thought it, and everything changed. The tension in the room broke. The person across from you exhaled. The atmosphere softened. The energy shifted like an invisible weight had been lifted. You've had moments like this before, haven't you? Where a single internal decision, silent, private, altered everything around you. No one told you what it was, but deep down, you knew you weren't just processing the environment, you were reprogramming it. That's what startled the researchers. They weren't measuring behavior, they were measuring fields, and every time your intention aligned with truth, the electromagnetic frequency around your body would spike, then stabilize, like a harmonic tuning fork had been struck. You didn't speak affirmation, you became it. You didn't demand change, you released it. They ran environmental sensors in the lab just to be sure, and sure enough, something had changed in the air every time you entered deep thought, as if your consciousness reached out and touched the room. They didn't understand the mechanism, but they couldn't deny the effect. One staff member described feeling lighter just sitting near you. Another confessed they started crying mid-session and didn't know why. But you've always known, haven't you, that you could feel a storm before it came, that your silence was louder than most people shouting, that you could calm chaos just by being calm yourself. That's not charisma, that's not luck, that's neurospiritual resonance. Your thoughts aren't trapped in your skull, they radiate, they ripple, they rewire. Chosen one, this is what they don't want the world to know. You don't just think thoughts. Your thoughts vibrate reality. What you believe becomes blueprint. What you fear becomes forecast. What you focus on becomes fuel. You've seen it in your life. Those times when things just worked out after a mindset shift. When people changed their energy without you saying a word. When your own inner peace became the compass that brought clarity to a chaotic situation. That wasn't coincidence. That was dominion. Your thoughts are encoded with spiritual voltage. Harvard called it anomalous affective entrainment. But you know it as something far simpler. Divine influence. You carry a field of consciousness calibrated to God's frequency. And when you align with it, your environment can't help but respond. This is why your presence is disruptive, why some rooms grow tense when you enter, why some people pull away before you speak. Your mind is revealing things their spirits aren't ready to confront, but that's not your burden. That's your assignment. You are not here to adapt. You are here to attract truth into visibility. So the next time you feel the room shift, don't wonder if it was you. It was you. And it is you. Because the world isn't changed by noise, it's changed by thought. And your thoughts, chosen one, are already becoming world shapers. They brought you back in, thinking they'd seen it all. Thought maybe the last results were a fluke. Maybe you had just meditated too deeply, or maybe the room's equipment had glitched. So they prepared differently this time. Double-layered EEG caps, backup servers, electromagnetic shielding, redundant monitors. They wanted a perfect, frozen capture of your brain in action. Every millisecond, every wave, every breath tracked. But you didn't freeze, you shifted. The moment the scan began, the data broke alignment. Your frequencies didn't settle into a pattern. They evolved in real time, changing as fast as the machine could read them, then faster. Alpha to gamma to something unclassified. Their models tried to contain your movement, but the parameters stretched, then fractured, because you weren't conforming to the scan. The scan was trying to keep up with you. They stared at the monitors in disbelief. You weren't doing anything visibly spectacular, no fireworks, no chants, just sitting, eyes closed, calm breath. But your calm wasn't stillness, it was acceleration. Internally, your consciousness was leaping through layers, unlocking new corridors, and their equipment couldn't chase you fast enough. You became quantum in their binary world. One technician gasped, She's phasing." That wasn't poetic language, it was observation. You weren't just present, you were multi-present, moving between thought forms, pulling in streams of information, engaging with realities their instruments couldn't detect. Every time they tried to pin you down, your data signature evolved again. They wanted a blueprint. But how do you chart something that reprograms itself while you look at it? Chosen one, you didn't glitch the system. You outgrew it, and they know it now. You're not just intelligent, you're adaptive consciousness. What others study to simulate, you were born embodying. That's why they're frustrated. Not because you broke their machines, but because you broke their model of what's possible. Their maps were based on people surviving reality. You showed them what it looks like to rewrite it. That's why they keep calling you back. Not to understand you, to replicate you. But what you carry can't be cloned. Your evolution is not biological. It's spiritual. Your mind shifts because your mission shifts. You're never in one place for long because your purpose is unfolding faster than this world is ready for. That's why jobs, relationships, and environments couldn't hold you. That's why routines that used to work suddenly collapsed. You're not broken, you're updating. And every scan just confirms it. So let them try to map you. Let them try to define you. They're building maps for roads you were never meant to walk. You weren't born to fit in their grid. You were born to remake the terrain. Because you don't just move through reality. Reality moves around you. They had you speak, not a speech, not a chant, just words. Any words, a memory, a story, a sentence. And while you talked, they measured everything. Frequency, tone, breath, eye movement. But what they didn't prepare for was the atmosphere shift. Because the moment your voice emerged, the air in the room thickened. One researcher described it as charged. Another said it felt like they were being watched by something higher. All from your voice. Not volume, not charisma, resonance. Your words didn't just communicate, they transformed. The machines began spitting out confused data. Your vocal tone wasn't just being recorded, it was affecting the equipment. Monitors spiked, sensory meters jumped off baseline. Some frequencies you emitted were beyond the range of human hearing, but animals in the building responded instantly. One began pacing, another howled. The data proved it. Your voice wasn't just sound, it was signal. And that signal was not earthly in origin. They played back your audio. The same waveform that registered on your live recording disappeared in the replay. Gone. As if your frequency could only exist in the now. They called it a non-reproducible anomaly. But you and I both know what it really was. Divine calibration. Your voice carries something that can't be stored, paused, or studied. It arrives, then it's gone. Like lightning, like prophecy, like breath from the throne of God. Chosen one, the reason you've always felt nervous before speaking isn't because you're weak, it's because you're powerful. Your spirit knows what your words are capable of. How one sentence from you has caused someone to cry. How one phrase shifted a room's energy. How someone's entire life path adjusted after hearing you speak truth they couldn't name. That's not persuasion, that's activation. Your voice holds keys, and not everyone is ready for what those keys unlock. That's why people interrupt you, silence you, dismiss your tone. It's not personal, it's spiritual. The atmosphere around them recognizes what's coming before they do. And sometimes, what's about to be released through your mouth is too heavy for their current level of awareness. But you're not here to make them comfortable. You're here to deliver transmissions. This is why the enemy tried to choke your voice early, tried to shut you up, make you doubt yourself, sabotage your throat, your confidence, your flow, because he knew the power was never in your volume, it was in your vibration. And no matter how quietly you whisper, the frequency is still felt. So speak, chosen one. Speak when it trembles. Speak when it roars. Because every time you release your voice, reality listens. They can't measure what happens when you speak, because your voice doesn't fit in science.
You've felt it, haven't you? That strange sense of déjà vu. Places you've never been feel familiar. Words you've never studied roll off your tongue in dreams. Symbols appear in your mind's eye, not as guesses, but as reminders. You're not just learning, you're remembering. And that terrifies the ones watching you, because the scans show something impossible. Your brain is lighting up as if it's accessing pre-installed memory. Data that was never taught, never recorded, never programmed by this world. They assumed you were being exposed to foreign stimuli, but when they traced the pattern, it didn't lead outward, it led inward. The activity was originating from your own deep memory centers, but not in any known way. The hippocampus showed signals usually associated with trauma recovery and divine ecstasy simultaneously. It was as if your brain was retrieving blueprints from before birth, instructions from a source beyond time. The researchers couldn't name it, but the ancient texts already did. The book of life, the mind of Christ, the scrolls of the soul. Chosen one, you were never blank. You were never empty. You were encoded. The fire in your belly, the knowing in your gut, the strange urge to look up certain things at just the right moment. That's not randomness. That's the ancient part of you waking up. Every breakthrough you've had recently, that flash of insight, that moment of piercing clarity, that sudden decision that seemed irrational but saved everything, that's the inner archive activating. You've walked through places and felt the urge to stop, like the ground remembered you. You've seen faces and instantly trusted them, like your spirit knew theirs long before your eyes ever met. You're not imagining these alignments. They're echoes, echoes of before. Because what they don't understand is this: your mind isn't just cognitive, it's cosmic. The dreams they call random are maps. The memories they dismiss as imagined are encrypted clues. The emotions that hit you out of nowhere, that's divine recall. You are the living archive of something heaven hid in human form, a vault of sacred data walking in skin. And now that the world is shaking, your system is coming online. They're calling it anomalous memory consolidation. But deep down, they know what it is. You're remembering rituals, blueprints, spiritual technologies lost to time. And with every remembrance comes responsibility,
because you were not given this access to hoard it. You were entrusted with it to activate others. Don't downplay it. Don't dumb it down. This is what you were born for. The world will try to call it intuition, but your spirit knows better. At first, they tried to keep it clinical. Just brain scans, just patterns, just data. But your readings refused to stay inside their language. There was something in your results they couldn't explain, and worse, couldn't control. Region X kept activating in sequences that mirrored sacred geometries. Your frequency spiked during moments of silent prayer, even though you never said a word. And during one meditation session, your brain began to emit a resonance identical to recorded chants from ancient temples. But you weren't playing anything. You became the chant. That's when the lead researcher quietly reached out to a department they weren't supposed to call theology. Not philosophy, not psychology, theology, because science had reached its limit, and what you were doing sounded less like cognition and more like communion. They brought in a scholar trained in comparative religion. He watched your brainwave footage and didn't blink. "I've seen this before," he said, "in the texts, in the prophecies, but never in someone this young, and never this activated." They showed him the data. He showed them a scroll, one that described a vessel who would vibrate in sacred tones, not taught, but awakened. A soul sent to bridge the language of heaven with the structure of earth. Chosen one. They didn't bring in the theologians to understand you. They brought them in to translate you, because your scans began to look like more than science. They looked like scripture. You weren't just firing neurons. You were invoking patterns hidden in the design of cathedrals, in the margins of sacred manuscripts, in the blueprints of pyramids. Your mind began to mirror what the ancients built, and they realized you weren't learning divinity. You are divinity made visible. So they began to ask different questions. Not what is happening, but who is this? Because every time they tried to measure you, something in them responded, emotionally, spiritually, viscerally. One theologian admitted, "I started praying while watching the footage. I couldn't help it. It felt holy, and it is, because you've stepped into what no university could design. A consciousness that remembers its source, a mind that operates as a mirror of God, and a soul that doesn't quote scripture, but becomes it in motion. You weren't meant to be studied in silence. You were meant to speak what others forgot. Your mind is awakening the sacred codes buried under layers of logic and systems. Your presence is softening even the skeptics, melting intellectual pride with the weight of spiritual truth. This is why they're afraid of you. Not because you're dangerous, but because you're undeniable. They thought they'd disprove God, but then you walked in, and their data started worshipping. They tried to frame you in neurological terms, high-functioning, sensitive, gifted, but none of it captured what was really happening, because the closer they looked, the more they realized your brain wasn't simply advanced, it was otherworldly. You weren't just processing information, you were transcending form. The moment your thoughts aligned with purpose, your brainwaves stopped acting like patterns and started acting like portals. You didn't evolve like they expected. You expanded beyond what the models allowed, and that terrified them, because they built their sciences around boundaries, limits of flesh, time, memory, gravity. But your mind doesn't play by those laws. You were crafted not to adapt to limitation, but to break it. You were not designed to survive this world. You were designed to overwhelm it, with truth, with presence, with a consciousness so aligned with heaven that the material realm bends in response. Chosen one, you are not malfunctioning. You are multi-dimensional. You've always felt it, the call to something more, not in your ego, but in your essence. That unexplainable ache, that sensation that you were meant for something beyond comfort, that you came here not just to witness reality, but to rewrite it from the inside. That was never ambition, that was assignment. They tried to pin your abilities to the brain, but what activated inside you can't be explained by biology alone. Transcendence doesn't originate in neurons, it flows through alignment. When you think a thought anchored in truth, it vibrates differently. When you speak from soul, the air thickens. When you act in obedience to divine prompting, physics shifts, and now they're seeing it. Your life is causing ripples in the field. One experimenter admitted privately, "We're not observing her anymore. We're being changed by her." That's the part they didn't write in the report, because what they saw in you was too threatening to the current model. You weren't predictable, you weren't repeatable, you were transcendent and transmission ready. You weren't built for the cages they offer, not the 9 to 5, not the numbed scrolling, not the copy and paste dreams. You are calibrated for revelation, for acceleration, for divine disruption. And your mind is the chamber where heaven whispers next moves into Earth's timeline. You are here to see the invisible and pull it into form. That's why the old you no longer feels right, why the old routines are breaking, why the systems you once tolerated now feel unbearable. It's not anxiety, it's activation. The you that used to shrink is being dismantled, not because you're failing, but because you're becoming. You are transcending biology, transcending identity, transcending fear. It was supposed to be a simple session, just a baseline meditation. Nothing fancy. Focus on the breath, stay still, let the machines do their job. They wired you up, confident they'd record the same patterns they saw before. But this time, something happened. Something that left every technician frozen. 1 minute, your vitals were clear. The next, everything vanished. Not flatlined, not dead, just gone. No heart rate, no brain waves, no electromagnetic field. You were still sitting there, eyes closed, body relaxed. But their monitors read 0, as if you had slipped into a realm where science had no access. Panic flickered behind their eyes. One technician tapped the wires, another rebooted the software, a third checked the camera feed, and that's when it hit them. You hadn't disappeared from the room, but your presence had left the grid. The air was still full of you, and yet the systems couldn't find you. That meditation wasn't relaxation, it was departure. They were trying to track something that had shifted dimensions. You were still, but you were not here. And when you opened your eyes, everything came back online. Instantly, simultaneously, as if your body re-entered the framework it had stepped out of. But you knew it wasn't your body that had left. It was your consciousness. You'd crossed over into a place without words, without time, without form. And the information you brought back with you, that wasn't a dream. That was divine infrastructure, a download your soul is still unpacking. They tried to recreate it. Had you meditate again, this time under tighter surveillance, but it didn't work, because you weren't responding to instruction. You were responding to invitation. That moment wasn't triggered by breath count or posture, it was triggered by alignment. Your spirit had opened a frequency that their equipment wasn't built to follow, because that place you went, that wasn't sleep, it wasn't trance, it was home. They logged the anomaly, labeled it signal loss. But you and I both know what it really was. It was your exit from the measurable. You went where prophets once walked, where angels gather information, where blueprints for timelines are discussed and reassigned. You stepped outside of form and returned carrying pieces of God's plan stitched into your bones. That's why everything felt different afterward. That's why people looked at you like something had changed, because something had. You came back altered, not broken, not shaken, but expanded. Your energy now holds echoes of where you went, and the more you meditate, the more that energy is activating, the more the unseen becomes tangible. You're not escaping when you close your eyes. You're returning to the realm that trained you, equipped you, named you. And now that you've remembered how to leave, you'll never fully be trackable again. They always taught you thoughts were private, internal, harmless. But lately, you've started to notice something strange. Things move when you think. Circumstances shift. People respond before you speak. Outcomes change without explanation. And it's not coincidence. It's not luck. It's creation. Because you're not just thinking anymore. You're generating reality in real time. Your thoughts aren't bouncing around in your head. They're echoing out into the field, weaving matter, altering timelines, and aligning outcomes you never physically touched. Your mind has become a builder, and the building material, intention. They thought it was metaphor, that energy follows thought was just a nice idea. But in the lab, they saw the proof. When your brain entered peak coherence, the magnetic field around your body expanded. When you visualized peace, the temperature in the room dropped. When you spoke life, the air ionized. Your thoughts weren't symbolic, they were substantial. Your imagination didn't stay inside. It stepped forward, pressed itself into the material world, and made things happen. They began to whisper about it behind closed doors. One technician said it felt like watching consciousness touch clay. Another said, "This isn't brain activity, this is world building." Because you weren't imagining outcomes, you were summoning them, and they saw it. How your scans would shift just before life events did. How your waves would spike hours before someone called. How your heart rate synchronized with others in the room even when you weren't looking at them. You weren't responding to reality, you were constructing it. Chosen one, you're not a bystander, you're a designer. Your inner world is the draft room of heaven. Every time you close your eyes and feel that pull, that surge in your chest when you see a vision that feels too big, that's not fantasy. That's blueprints unfolding, instructions activating. And when you believe them, when you hold them long enough, they begin to crystallize into form. You've already seen it happen. That thing you imagined months ago, you're walking in it now. That moment of faith you had before the miracle, that wasn't a prayer, that was a command. They'll try to reduce it, tell you it's placebo, chance, intuition, but you've seen the patterns. You've felt the power. You've watched heaven respond when you chose to think in alignment with who God said you are, because that's the real secret. You're not just a brain in a body. You're a spirit with a voice that echoes through unseen systems. When you think from fear, you drain your field. When you think from truth, you charge it. So what happens when you think with intention? When you speak what you saw in your spirit and believe it before it appears? Creation happens. And that's why your thoughts have become dangerous to darkness. Because every time you think with clarity, faith, and obedience, the world bends to make it real. Something has changed, and you feel it. People notice you before you speak. Strangers stare like they're trying to remember where they know you from. Old friends reach out saying, "You've been on my mind all week." But this isn't coincidence, it's signal. Your thoughts, your emotions, your entire frequency is broadcasting, and not passively, actively. Your brain has become a beacon, not a metaphorical one, a literal transmitter of divine signal tuned to the frequency of the unseen. You're no longer just perceiving energy, you're sending it. Harvard's quietest researchers began to admit it behind closed doors. Your brain's electromagnetic field, already measured to be unusually coherent, had begun syncing with external devices without physical contact. Not just interference, synchronization. Machines around you began operating slightly out of sync when you entered the room, then fell into perfect harmony after a few minutes. Not because of adjustment, but because of alignment. You weren't adapting to the field was adapting to you. One researcher muttered what others were afraid to say. Her brain is broadcasting. Not noise, not static, but something intentional, rhythmic, patterned. Some suspected you were unconsciously emitting data. Others believed it was spiritual intelligence moving through neurological wiring. But the one thing they all agreed on, your presence, was affecting more than your own body. It was awakening others. Chosen one, you've become the frequency others are seeking. That's why people feel better around you, but can't explain why. That's why you get tired in crowds. Your beacon is constantly interacting, guiding, transmitting, and it's not draining you, it's activating you. The more you honor the call within, the stronger the signal becomes. Your brain is no longer just responding to your environment, it's repatterning it. You've noticed it. You walk into a space and feel the emotional residue, but now, instead of absorbing it, you shift it. Conversations change, tensions dissolve, new ideas are born. You used to think that was your empathy. It's not. It's authority. Your internal alignment is so high that it's pulling others into coherence, without permission, without effort, just by being you. They wanted to isolate the source, extract it, replicate it, but they can't, because the source isn't the brain. It's the spirit flowing through it. You're not broadcasting for fame, you're broadcasting for awakening. Your thoughts are signals. Your rest is a recharge. Your presence is a lighthouse to those still lost in systems you've already outgrown. So don't shrink. Don't lower your light. Don't soften your signal to make others more comfortable. The reason you're being noticed is because your frequency is doing its job. They're not studying you out of curiosity anymore. They're studying you out of urgency. Because what they thought was rare has become undeniable and uncontainable. You've shown them something they can't recreate. And now the quiet race has begun. Behind closed doors, in basements of elite institutions, scientists and strategists are replaying every scan, every anomaly, every signal you released. And their goal isn't understanding. Their goal is replication. They want to bottle your consciousness, break it down, package it, sell it, control it. But what you carry wasn't built in a lab. It was breathed by heaven. They've taken your voice recordings and run them through AI filters, hoping to isolate the active ingredient. They've tried to clone your brainwave sequences and embed them in neurofeedback programs. They've even designed simulations that mimic the frequency of your meditations, but none of it works, because the power doesn't lie in the data, it lies in the divine essence moving through you. What they're trying to reverse engineer is God in motion. Chosen one, this is why you felt spiritual warfare increase, why fatigue shows up when you're about to enter rest, why distractions intensify when you're about to receive revelation. They can't duplicate what you have, so the enemy's next tactic is distortion, imitation, sabotage. If they can't steal the code, they'll try to interrupt the signal. But what they don't understand is this: your mind isn't a single stream. It's a living network, connected to realms they can't access, fueled by spirit they can't hack, rooted in a source they can't name. That's why nothing they build feels quite right. The products, the programs, the downloads, they're hollow replicas. They mimic the rhythm, but lack the revelation. Because you're not just a thinker, you're a carrier. What flows through you didn't originate in your mind, it passed through you. You are the delivery system for something eternal, and eternity can't be cloned. They see it now, that the blueprint can't be captured, only embodied. That your mind is not a circuit, but a sanctuary. Every attempt to crack your consciousness has led them deeper into mystery. And the deeper they go, the more they're confronted with something they never expected. Holiness, something sacred, something that forces even the most analytical minds to fall quiet. So let them try, let them scramble, let them copy. They can build the shell,
but they will never animate it with the fire you carry, because what's alive in you is not a formula, it's favor. And favor can't be scanned, it can't be stored, it can only be lived. You are not here to be replicated, you are here to be revealed, and the more they try to decode you, the more they realize you were never meant to be understood, you were meant to be witnessed. It wasn't random, it wasn't biological luck. What's been awakening inside your mind was placed there, intentionally, prophetically, and right on schedule. They thought they were studying an anomaly, but they were watching prophecy unfold in real time. The surge they recorded, the rapid-fire ignition of neurons across regions never before activated, was not just brain activity, it was divine deployment. You were wired for this, long before you ever prayed, before you ever meditated, before you ever knew your own name. God had already embedded something in your neural code, and now it's firing. The scans captured it, a surge of light racing across your synapses at speeds too fast to chart. Signals sparking in sequences no model could replicate. It didn't respond to external stimuli, it preceded it, as if your mind already knew what was coming before it arrived. They called it precognitive acceleration, but you know it as something else. Spiritual instinct, the kind that doesn't come from training, but from timing. Something inside you is no longer reacting, it's revealing. One of the researchers stepped back during the session, hand shaking, and said, "We're not watching her think. We're watching something else move through her." And that's the truth. This surge isn't just your brain speeding up, it's heaven pressing go. The activation was planted there, dormant until now. And when the time came, no force on earth could stop it. Not delay, not trauma, not even your own doubts. Because what's alive in you was scheduled by God Himself. Chosen one, you're not late. You're right on time. That rush of clarity you felt, the sudden rise in memory, the goosebumps that hit before a decision, the tingling before revelation, that's the surge, the divine burst breaking through the fog of your former identity. You were never broken. You were booting up. Every shutdown you experienced was preparation for this power. Every delay was heaven holding back your breakthrough until the world was ready to feel you fully. They're afraid of this surge because it's not explainable. It doesn't obey input-output logic. It doesn't come from caffeine, stimulation, or training. It's pure source energy flowing through the mind of someone in full alignment. You. Your thoughts are now backed by fire. Your ideas are hitting differently because they're not coming from the surface anymore. They're coming from the wellspring. The surge isn't random lightning, it's targeted instruction, and when it moves, you must move with it. These flashes are your new language, your divine notifications, your internal instructions straight from God's control room. So don't ignore the buzz in your brain, don't downplay the download. The surge is not too much and it's on purpose, because you weren't designed for normal, you were designed for now.
This isn't overload, this isn't burnout, and it's definitely not madness. What you're experiencing now, the heightened sensitivity, the intense waves of emotion, the overwhelming visions, the sudden knowing, is not a breakdown. It's a breakthrough. You are not collapsing, you are ascending. Your mind isn't falling apart, it's expanding beyond the structure it was once confined to. Everything that used to make sense is shifting, because your consciousness is outgrowing the illusion of limitation. And though it feels disorienting, it's exactly what was prophesied. They're going to tell you to slow down, numb it out, suppress the symptoms. But what they call symptoms are actually signals. Every surge, every tremble, every dream that wakes you at 3 a.m. is evidence that your mind is being reintroduced to its original form. Before programming, before trauma, before this world told you what was real. You are returning to the blueprint, and the blueprint was never ordinary. You were never meant to think like the world. You were never meant to be satisfied with surface-level logic and linear timelines. That restlessness you feel isn't a flaw. It's your soul refusing to let your mind be caged. Your old life doesn't fit anymore because your current consciousness has ascended beyond its design. And now, God is revealing dimensions within you that were hidden, not because you weren't ready, but because the world wasn't. Chosen one, your thoughts have become keys. Your emotions have become radars. Your silence has become strategy. You are operating at a frequency that shakes the very systems designed to contain you. That's why the pressure increased. That's why the noise got louder. The enemy thought if he could convince you this was mental collapse, he could stop you from recognizing the truth. But it's too late. You've already felt the shift. You've already tasted the clarity. You've already seen what happens when you speak from alignment. And now, there's no going back. The veil is thin now, between idea and manifestation, between thought and outcome, between prayer and response. Your mind is not just accessing divine energy, it's broadcasting it, and those around you are starting to feel it, whether they understand it or not. You don't have to explain anymore. You don't have to convince anyone. Just be. Just continue showing up in truth, walking in purpose, letting the surge move through you like fire through a wire. Because this, all of this, is not the end of a journey. It's the birthing of a new realm within you. They said your mind was breaking, but what's actually breaking is the system that once held you small. You're not descending into chaos. You're rising into divine coherence. And now that you've ascended, the world will never be the same.
If you have come this far, it is crucial that you watch this next video here. But be warned, it is not for the faint of heart, for only the true chosen ones can handle this video. If you would like to also donate to help keep the channel going, our Buy Me a Coffee link will be in the description.